Hello to the world. So here in this channel, we're going to be talking about innovation, technology, opportunities in Brazil, and what are the differences that in America or in Europe, from Brazil. Our president recently went to Ukraine. Brazilian president went to Russia, and there was a little bit of a backlash. But what is really the relationship among several things? For example, anti-vax behavior in Brazil, in the US elections, January 6th. These are crazy times we're living in, but full of opportunities. And the same process the US went through in 2016, and then with the midterm elections, and then again in 2020 with Trump versus Biden. We're going to go through here, but there are several opportunities that we need to live and understand about Brazil. We are a much recent democracy, but democracy is something that we all have to fight for. And we all have to fight for liberties. And it's not by chance. And if we look at the past 30 years of Russia interference in the West, it's because we really have to break down our society, the Western society, by the inside out. That's the whole plan that has been laid out in all the Marxist books, and that's extremely effective. If we look at Vladmir Putin, President Putin, he's one of the greatest strategists. He was a great strategist at the KGB, he was a black ops agent, and we can see that he has played the West for decades, and without even firing a shot. He has meddled, Russia has meddled into the US election, into Europe affair with Brexit. We all know this, and clearly there's a lot of things to learn. Russia has been a great power, a great player in the world, and Vladimir Putin, it's an extremely good strategist. Now he's aligned with China, and there's this competition. So clearly in the next years to come, in the next months, we all see a lot of things happening. But we have to understand the game. For example, the role Russia had for more than 30 years, as laid out by Dr. Fiona Hill, Harvard professor and member of the White House Security Council. Clearly there was the misinformation, fake news, that is all towards degrading the values of the West. And clearly they have succeeded. We are fighting against each other, brother against brother, sister against sister. And that's laid out in the Bible. So clearly there's nothing new. We know that this time would come, but the reason that they have been able to expose and use that weak point is because we have a weak point, and that is our division. Both Democrats and Republicans, they are voting one way or another. They have much more in common than they can think, and very different from the top Republicans and, for example, the top Democrats. They all were left behind. Policies throughout the 90s and the 2000s have not delivered the economic growth throughout the economic spectrum. So that's the reason that extremism has arisen on both sides. There's no question that the behavior from the left or from the right is different, because it has been different. Because for 30, 40 years, that same economic growth that a lot of people on the top of the food chain has enjoyed has not been shared with everyone, at least not equally. Clearly, we are in a much better place, but this is time for all of us in the world to talk about these issues, because an American democracy under siege is not good for anyone in the world. It is the first democracy, is the oldest democracy in the world, is the biggest democracy in the world. It has values that were written into the Constitution in 1776. Something that has never been fully realized. We understand that in 1863, basically Lincoln was killed, and there was a great divide by, when you talk about the Civil War. And again, in 1963, Martin Luther King was marching in Washington, talking about equality that should have been achieved in 1776. But at least we, as people around the world, have to understand the importance of a stable and free America, because that's the beacon. You know, everybody that goes to America, either to study or at least to live, thousands and thousands, millions of people throughout the centuries that have gone to America in pursuit of the dream. And that was a reality at some point, but that dream has become a nightmare. So we all have to address those issues, and those are important issues. Those are important issues in Brazil, they're important issues in America. And I invite you to have a conversation, a really open conversation about the good points and bad points, and what we can learn from the pandemic. What has brought people to such a division that we are not believing facts, we rather believe in fabricated lies than actually the facts? What has transpired? Is it really just a matter of foreign power meddling into our affairs? And Dr. Fiona Hill and the intelligence community understand the several attacks that Russia and China have conducted towards the West in so many instances, both strategic. The intelligence community around the world understand the position that China and Russia have taken. They have sponsored directly or indirectly cyber attacks into the US, Europe, private companies, and that's now the rule. Now we are at the realm of cyber war. There's no need for any shots. But now in Ukraine, we are seeing that played out in a different way. So we hope that there's no war. We hope that's just a power play and not just another piece of the chess game that President Putin is playing with the world. We hope that he will refrain himself from attacking Ukraine, but our hearts and our prayers are with the soldiers from all sides, because there's no winning sides when it comes to war. So we hope that to the Russian soldiers, to the moms and daughters, the wives, and to the Ukrainian soldiers, to the US soldiers, and to the European soldiers, to everyone that may lose their life in this unnecessary war. Come to have a conversation about all these topics. God bless you.